Many of our trainees ask how they can evaluate their debriefing progress. We recommend using the CAPE Real-Time Debriefing Evaluation, or DART, for an objective assessment of their debriefing. This can be completed by another instructor who's watching the debriefing for immediate feedback, or later by the instructor when reviewing their own video recording of their own debriefing. Either way, you can track your progress over time using this tool. Refer to the section that indicates instructor, scenario, and date. Indicate the name of the scenario that was debriefed and the instructor debriefing it. Including the name of the scenario gives the evaluator the option to review the written scenario during or after using the DART for clarity on additional specific points such as intended learning objectives. Below the first line are bulleted items. These points describe the roles and activities of the debriefer. The next section is scenario and debriefing, start and stop times, and the length of each track. We recommend that the debriefing lasts about 3 times the length of the scenario. These general time estimates can be used to plan your simulation session. Shorter debriefing sessions should be evaluated to ensure that learning objectives were completely discussed, and longer sessions should be evaluated to ensure that time allotted for simulation was used effectively. We recommend that the time between the end of the scenario and the start of the debriefing be as short as possible, but not longer than 5 minutes. This short time frame will keep learners engaged in the simulation and debriefing while also reducing their anxiety of waiting for the tape to be viewed. Be sure to record the time when the tape first rolls during the debriefing. A brief discussion before rolling tape is optional. However, we usually ask, what happened in 10 words or less? To ensure that the team is on the same page about what the scenario was just about. Many new debriefers forget to start the video for several minutes, so it's good to keep track of this marker. Throughout the debriefing, be sure to use the video to discuss major learning objectives and incidental or unanticipated findings. You should note approximately what percentage of the scenario was covered during the debriefing. While the majority of the scenario should be reviewed during the debriefing, it is critical to at least adequately cover the identified learning objectives. Likewise, you should note approximately what percentage of learning objectives were covered during the debriefing. To assist the recorder analyzing this metric, a copy of the scenario with learning objectives should be available to the evaluator during the completion of this tool. On the next line, calculate the length of the debriefing versus the length of the scenario by using the times listed at the box at the top of the form. Next, indicate the number of times the tape is paused during the debriefing. Each time the tape is paused, place a tick mark on your sheet. As a reminder, the tape should be paused to discuss learning objectives, other areas of interest for discussion, or if the learners are talking amongst themselves while the tape is playing. In this space, indicate the length of tape segments played. We recommend that the tape should be stopped at least every 90 to 120 seconds of footage to keep the learners engaged in the scenario. Let's move on to the box below. In this space, when a relevant question or statement is made, you should make a tick mark in open boxes under one of the following headings that include instructor questions, instructor statements, and trainee responses. Instructor questions should be the number of questions the instructor or debriefer asks during the debriefing. And likewise, instructor statements are the number of statements that the instructor or debriefer makes during the debriefing. And then each trainee response is counted by checking a box in this category. A response is considered an answer to the question or a question that is posed by a trainee. For example, if 3 trainees respond to one instructor question or statement, then 3 boxes in that same row are checked. Now let's refer to the instructor question to instructor statement ratio. As you have learned by now, the instructor or debriefer should be guiding the discussion instead of dominating it. The ratio of questions to statements should be high with significantly more questions than statements. As a general target, aiming for a 3-to-1 instructor question to instructor statement ratio is ideal. However, it's more important to look at your progress over time rather than being discouraged if you start with more statements than questions. The ratio of trainee responses instructor questions plus instructor statements is determined by the first adding together the instructor or debriefer's questions and statements together. That number is then compared to the number of trainee responses. Ideally, the trainees will be doing most of the talking with the instructor or debriefer, guiding the discussion by asking questions designed to elicit further discussion among the trainees. The following exercises will allow you to work with the DART yourself. Let's get started.